Today we're going to look at how you put a US jetting manifold together. We're going to start on the inlet side, and you can see Chris here is putting the inlet valves in, and they basically simply go in there and you just push them down until they engage. Put a little bit of grease on the O-rings so they go in nice and easily. Now you're going to put the backup spacers in, and these need to have the O-ring and backup ring attached to them. It's important to get the backup ring and the O-ring in the correct manner. So the backup ring supports the O-ring. You've got to make sure whichever way the water's coming, the O-ring is first and the backup ring supports the O-ring. Put a little bit of grease on these as well, and you can then slide them in. Getting them on. Make sure you don't get the backup ring sliding out as you engage them. That's why you need to put a little bit of grease on them and then slide them in. And they are done. So that's your intake manifold side done. And what I do normally is when I've done that, I just pop the springs to make sure they're all engaged. There you go. They're all fine. So now we're going to go to the discharge side, and we've got to put the valve seats in the ball and the spring. So they're the three springs that are going to go in first. Then the three balls. You can see them just sitting there. And now we've got to add the valve seats, but first of all we've got to put up the backup ring and the O-ring on the valve seat. Now, these are a little trickier to do because they're a one-piece backup ring. There's one, and again you've got to make sure the backup ring supports the O-ring. Not difficult to do, you just got to take your time. And it's amazing how fast this goes. So there we have it. A little bit of grease on them. And these are the face O-rings. They go on the face of the valve seat. So that's when the two halves of the manifold join together, they don't leak. A little bit of grease on them. Pop those in. You can just hear them engage. Okay, again, make sure the backup ring doesn't slide out while you're engaging it. Okay, so there you have the discharge manifold and the intake manifold all set. All we've got to do now is bolt it together, and we'll do that in a minute. Ready, steady, go. So now we're going to bolt the two manifolds together. We put a tiny little bit of blue Loctite on the hex head studs, hex head bolts right here. Place the manifold together in this manner. And then tighten them down to 60 foot-pounds. That's removing any excess Loctite. And only use blue Loctite, do not use red, otherwise you won't get them undone. And then once this is complete, it's ready to go onto the pump. And now we're going to put the use soft jaws if you can, or a cloth so it doesn't scratch the stainless steel. And then torque them down to 60 foot-pounds. And there we have it, and that's taken us exactly 5.5 minutes, so you can see it's not a long process. Manifold off, and we're going to show you how to change the seals and the packings. We're going to remove 2 of the studs just to make it easier so you can see what we're doing. Under normal circumstances, these studs would remain where they are, and they're Loctited in, so you won't be able to remove them very easily. But just for the filming purposes, we're going to remove them. So, to change your seals and packings, you've got to remove this spacer, and it just slides out. And it can go in either which way, it doesn't matter. You've got no ring and a backup ring on each one, so you don't have to worry about which way it goes in. Then you've got to remove the cartridge that holds the seals. Okay, and just remove it nice and easily. Now this does have a sequence. So now, in order to get the packings and seals out, you're going to have to remove the spacer and then push the seals out from the back. Okay, so there you have the backing spacer, the 2 seals, and the front spacer. So when you reassemble it, you put the backing spacer down first, then the 2 packing rings, and then the front spacer, and they just slide in the cartridge like that. Just push them down nice and easily. Don't forget to grease the O-ring on the outside of the cartridge. Okay, and then it slides back in carefully over the plunger so you don't damage the seals as you're putting it back in. Okay, that pops in there like that. Then you put the spacer back on, and you're done. So that's how to replace the seals and packings on your 4018 pump. And you can see it's very simple, takes a couple of minutes, and then you'd repeat the process on the other 2 cylinders. So now we've done the seal kit and we've done the valves, so we're going to put the manifold back on the power end. Line it up on the studs. Of course, it's a bit easier to do when it's sitting on the pump or on the unit. Okay, and then you put the nut and the lock washer, and you've got to tighten them in a certain sequence. You don't want to tighten them all in the same way. You've got to tighten them, start in the middle and work your way round in a circle. I think it's a figure 8 to be correct. And Chris, what do we torque them down to?
60 foot-pounds.
Again, 60 foot-pounds. And that's it.